Hello, everybody. Josh Brown here, back for another great episode on Franchise Euphoria. Well, today's episode is brought to you by IndieFranchiseLaw.com, a leading resource in the franchise space to help you if you're considering buying a franchise, turning your business into a franchise, or growing your business through a licensing or franchise structure. So go on, check it out, IndieFranchiseLaw.com. I think you'll find a lot of valuable and free information as you continue to kind of weigh franchising and licensing and the growth of your business. Without further ado, I hope you enjoy today's episode. Today, I'm thrilled to have on Amy Reed, who is the co-founder and co-owner of Woofies LLC, Woofies Mobile Pet Spa LLC, and Woofies Pet Ventures LLC, all based in Ashburn, Virginia. Woofies is a new franchise that is the first to offer the combined services of personalized pet sitting, dog walking, and mobile pet spa. Prior to Woofies, Amy had over 10 years of experience in marketing, sales, and sales training with a successful track record in high-tech startup companies and large carrier organizations. What's really interesting about this interview with Amy is, first of all, you can hear her passion from the word go. And it's always great when I hear that in business owners. But the other thing is you get a great sense for how Amy and her partner, Leslie, really went after this thing full bore, quit their jobs, went after it, and really kind of tweaked as they went and found their own little niche in this industry. And then on top of that, were smart enough and wise enough to really take their time to fine tune the systems and work in the business for years and years and years before going the franchise route. So without further ado, hope you enjoy this interview with Amy Reed. Hello, Amy. Welcome to Franchise Euphoria. How you doing?
Doing well. How are you, Josh? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing awesome. I'm excited to have you on.
Thank you.
You are the co-founder and co-owner of Woofies,
I
which
am.
is it's a mobile pet spa, but it's also a pet sitting and dog walking franchise as well, right? So it's sort of all three.
Correct. And it's actually the first franchise of its kind to blend those services together.
So how did you get into this?
So I actually started 15 years ago with my good friend and neighbor, Leslie Barron. She lives right across the street from me. And at the time I was in corporate, she was in healthcare, and we always both had a mutual passion for animals, loved animals, always took care of them for friends and neighbors, kind of on an informal basis. But it was interesting, when I was in corporate, I was starting to travel quite a bit, and I just couldn't find a good service for my dogs. I had Marshall and Toby at the time, and those are my babies. And I didn't want to kennel them, but I didn't want a stranger coming into my house. And kind of looking around in a local community, all the different options that were out there. First of all, there weren't a lot of options, but even the ones that were, it felt like it was more of a hobby. It just didn't feel like the level of professionalism was there that I was looking for and expected, because again, this is someone coming into my home and taking care of my pets. So to me, I didn't want somebody coming in who was just looking at it as a hobby. So we really felt that there was a real opportunity. So we both quit our jobs and started walking dogs. That's literally how we started. We just were out there 7 days a week, walking dogs, morning till night, every holiday. And it was awesome. We just started building our business in our local community and kind of built the business through word of mouth, and started building our team and adding, more pet sitters. And then throughout the years, everybody kept asking us about mobile grooming, because it's really just a natural extension. We're already going into their homes. We know the pets. We have a relationship with the clients, and they kept asking about mobile grooming, and nobody was really doing it in our community. So we bought a van, bootstrap investment, and started our mobile grooming business. So that's kind of where we are today. 15 years into it, we've got a great team of pet sitters and dog walkers and groomers and back office team members. And then earlier this year, we just awarded our first 2 franchises. So we're really excited about it.
That's awesome. So when you go and you tell your boss in corporate that you're going to quit, do you tell them you're going to quit to go walk dogs, or how's
Yeah,
that
and
conversation go?
yeah, that was really interesting. And everybody thought we were crazy because, I mean, I left a six-figure salary at the time. This is 15 years ago, and I was in telecom and tech before that. And it was to say that I'm leaving to go walk dogs. And again, the industry was so much less mature at the time. And so I don't think people really understood that it could be a professional business.
Yeah,
And
I don't know of any, so I don't really know of, I mean, I know of several pet sitting, pet walking, and pet spas
mhm.
now, but if I think back 15 years ago, I'm not sure I knew of any.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I mean, and actually, I wish I had had this. I'm dating myself, but 25 years ago, it would have been a great job in college and, even late high school, going to college, or my early 20s. I wish I had known about it. I would have worked for one. But yeah, there really weren't that many companies out there at all. So that was an interesting piece. People just kind of looked at us like we were crazy. And then we had the additional piece of being very good friends and neighbors. And anytime you get into any type of business relationship and a partnership, it can go one of two ways. And fortunately, it has worked really well. Leslie and I are very different from one another in many ways, but we have the same core fundamental principles and what helps us drive the business forward. We've always had that in common. So it's been really great. They always say a business partnership's kind of like a marriage, and it definitely is. But it's worked out really well for us.
I mean, it's interesting because I think the instinct for a lot of people, especially when you're just getting going with this thing. You don't know what it's going to become or where it's going to
Mm-hmm.
go. And I think the instinct is you want to find a partner who's like you, but the reality is you actually want to find a partner who is not like you in terms of how they work, in terms of getting things done, because you can't do everything for the business. And so you have strengths, you have weaknesses, and ideally you need their weaknesses to be your strengths, and vice versa. But you do have to have, like you said, some core values, to kind of work through not only the early side of things, but as things evolve. Talk a little bit about that, because obviously, I mean, you both leave jobs, you're coming into this unknown,
Yep.
um, area that's really kind of being newly developed at the time. Did you have any clients at that time? Like, did you have you it sounded like you had maybe a couple dog walking clients and then just built it from there. But how did you actually like get this thing going?
Well, it's funny thinking back 15 years ago, we put an ad in a local paper. Facebook wasn't as used at that time for businesses. It did, a couple of years later, we started really getting into the social media piece, and now it's a huge piece of our business. But a lot of it was just boots on the ground, going to the vet offices, going to there were a couple of dog boutiques in our local community, and even all the non-pet related businesses, just networking with all the different businesses in our local community, because that's a big piece of our business. It's the services we offer are pet sitting, dog walking, and mobile grooming services, but we keep it in a pretty contained service area. And that was a conscious decision that we made very early on. And it was contrary to what other companies were doing. Other pet sitting companies would have this huge footprint and it looks really impressive, from a marketing standpoint. But the reality is, in a business like this, having that smaller footprint has been extremely advantageous for us. And it's allowed us to really be embedded in our local community. And that's how you build a business, because in this type of business, because it's all relationship. They have to trust the company and the people you employ to come into your home and to care for their pets. People view their pets like their children. So it's really important to have that sense of community. So we realized that early on. So we just did a lot of networking and just started getting out there and meeting all the different clients. And then they would refer us to other clients. And then actually several of our clients have come on board to work with us. So it's been really neat. I feel very lucky and fortunate to have Woofies in our local Ashburn community. Pretty much everybody I know is because of Woofies. So it's been really nice over the last 15 years.
Well, and so at a certain point, you and Leslie are out there, you're walking walk the dogs, you're walking the pets,
Hmm.
you're getting busier and busier. I mean, at some point in time, you realize, okay, that you're only two people and there's
Right.
only 24 hours in a day. How quickly and what was that? What was that like? Because I know that can be a big challenge for a lot of people. When it's you two, it's very it's as comfortable as it's going to be, right? Because
Right.
you control the schedule, your work ethic, you're trustworthy people. You've built that relationships. Now you got to bring other people into
Hmm.
the equation and foster that same feeling for the customers. What was that like?
I think any business owner can attest to this. It's definitely a big challenge because when it is when you're the one doing it, it's going to be done exactly right, the way you want it done at all times. So you really have to take your time when building your team, and it involves a lot of trust. And our business is especially unique because of the mobile aspect. So I don't see what my dog walkers are doing every day. I don't see exactly what my groomers are doing. They're not coming into an office from 9 to 5 and sitting right in front of me where I can monitor their activity and see what they're doing. So it really involves a high degree of trust, and really just going through that interview process with them and really crossing all the T's, dotting all the I's. It's so incredibly important, especially with this line of business. So it was hard. It was a little hard to let go in the beginning, but you can't grow your business otherwise. And you have to do that. And you have to be very committed to bringing on really good, solid people who understand your vision and your culture and your expectations. And that's one thing, down to every detail of even how I want emails answered, or how to respond to a client situation, or how I want somebody to react when they first walk in and greet a dog. Our employees really understand what we expect, what Woofies is all about, and really that high degree of customer service, how incredibly important that is to us. So anybody that comes on board understands it from day one. And if they're not on board, then they can go. They have to really embrace our culture.
Well, and so did you guys always have franchising in mind, or when did you start thinking about this might be something that we would contemplate franchising?
I've always had it in the back of my head. I actually went to my first franchise conference in New York, the IFE, back in 2007, I think it was. And I met with Mark Siebert from my franchise group, and he's awesome. And we just stayed in touch over the years. And as our business kept growing year after year, we really started thinking, okay, there's truly a great opportunity out there. And I know it's not unique just to our market. I know that there's so many markets out there with this overwhelming demand for very professional, personalized pet care. So I knew that we could replicate what we were doing in our market in other markets. So we really thought long and hard about, okay, what's the best strategy? Do we open up another corporate-owned location, for example, in Reston, or do we start franchising? So I started going to the franchise conferences a couple of years ago and just really educating myself and talking to people like Mark Siebert or Steve Murphy from Winmark, like really trying to, people who understand the franchise business, and really trying to engage with them and just get the knowledge of, is franchising right for us? And the first step we did, after going to some of the different conferences just to get educated, we did a franchise feasibility study because we wanted an objective party to come in, take a look at our business, drill down into the financials, what the business model is all about, what our team is all about, and say, okay, does this make sense? Is this franchisable? So that was really kind of our big step, was going through that study.
So who did that for you? Who did the feasibility study?
It was a local franchise company that came in through a referral of one of our clients, actually. So she had contacted us, and it was just kind of good timing. So we went through that, and it was really great to go through that study because it really forces you to dig down deep into your business, and you have to take an honest look at it. Some people, look at franchising and have certain expectations. You've got to really understand what it's all about, and that's an evolving process. I mean, we're now a year and a half into it, from when we first started the real process, and we're learning every single day, and it's a fascinating industry, and I'm just really grateful to be part of it. I think it's a great strategy for us.
Yeah, and it's not for everybody. I mean, that's the
No.
thing, is it's really, you got to really understand it. So it sounds like you guys really did your due diligence and spent the right time, as opposed to just, what often happens is a customer or client comes in and says, "Hey, you should franchise this," and then the entrepreneur is like off and running trying to think about how to franchise it, as opposed to like, what does that really mean for my business? I mean, when you think back to when you first started the process to now, I mean, I'm sure there's tons of things that you learned, and things that you think, oh, maybe I could have done this. But what's one of the things as an owner, as sort of as you've kind of seen this unfold, that you think to yourself, wow, I really didn't know this was going to happen, or it would be like this? I mean, is there that kind of moment that you've had?
All the time. All the time. Now it's been a very interesting journey. I look back, 15 years ago, the industry has evolved so much, just from the level of professionalism, from the technology. We were talking earlier about how you bring on team members and have that trust. Now I have GPS on all the vans. I have our groomers and pet sitters. They clock in when they arrive. I can see the pet sitters and dog walkers exactly where they walk. It's all GPS enabled on their phones with the app that we have, the Woofies app. So everything's evolved so much, and it's enabled us to get to this point where we are now. I've gone to a lot of the conferences in the past year and a half, and you meet all different types of franchisors, and there are some that have only been in business for a year or two and they start franchising. And then we're on the other end of the spectrum where we've been in business for 15 years. So one could say, wow, that's a long time. Like, why'd you wait so long? And I'm actually really glad we waited, because when you're going to franchise, you have to have all those systems and processes in place. And I think if we had tried to franchise even 10 years ago, I don't think we would have offered as strong a system as we do today. So I'm actually really glad that we watched the industry evolve. We kept up with the technology changes, and we've constantly evaluated our business. How can we make this better? Anytime something doesn't go right with a sitter or a groomer or a client, like even just a small detail, we look at that and say, okay, how can we fix that process so we can make sure that never happens again? It forced us to really examine our business and constantly evaluate how we can make it better each and every day. And that's something we're very committed to doing, not only so we can run a good business. We have an obligation to our clients to provide a great service. We have an obligation to our team members to provide a great company for them. But now we have these franchisees, these people who are investing in the Woofies brand and running this as their business. So we have such a strong obligation. It's something that I think about 24/7. We have such an obligation to make sure that we are providing the best system possible and every best practice, every best process. So that's what drives us all the time.
Well, I love hearing that you guys waited. I mean, because it's what I always implore others to do. I always tell people, if there's a real opportunity there, it's not going to go away in the next few years. And so you're going to be much better off to grow a little slower, and that will enable you to grow faster when it's the right time. The
Mm-hmm.
other thing that I like is that, I know in this type of business, and it certainly sounds like the way you guys are doing it with Woofies is, technology plays a huge part. I got to even imagine, I mean, you mentioned the GPS, but I got to even imagine with scheduling and
Oh,
everything, you
yeah.
just have to have some sort of proprietary app, because you're going on these, like, it's like, oh, so and so's got to be at this house for a 15-minute walk here, and then it's
Mm-hmm.
got to be, and just trying to coordinate geographically where people go when, and making that all make sense is incredibly complicated.
It is. That's
And
the core of your business with pet sitting. When you're mobile with pet sitting and grooming, if I don't schedule my sitters properly, and they're driving all over the place, they're not making money, I'm not making money. Or if I, assign a job to a sitter and it's not a good fit, I'm not going to assign to my 60-year-old retiree a 150-pound Rottweiler, So you have to be really careful that you're matching up the right sitter with the right client, right pet. And same with the grooming side. They're driving your van all over, and you have to be really careful with scheduling. So it can get complicated. We have, in the summertime, we may have anywhere from 85 to 100 pet sitters and dog walkers working. So logistics plays a very big role in the business. Unfortunately, we've got a great technology system in place that really facilitates the whole scheduling process, because that's a make or break with your business.
Well, so in our remaining moments here, let's talk about the franchisees. Let's talk
Sure.
about who's the ideal franchise prospect that you guys are looking for the Woofies franchise.
Well, first of all, it has to be somebody who loves animals. If somebody is going into this just from a pure business and no heart for the animals, it won't work. You have to truly have that passion for pets. But you really have to bring that business background with you, that expertise. It's loving pets is not enough. And, those are the people we see that get into it as a hobby, and that's great. But when you're running a business and investing in a franchise, and in our case, the Woofies brand, you've got to really have that business acumen. You've got to be able to multitask, and you've got to love the animals. And I would say just as important is you have to be able to build a great team, because your team is everything. If you don't have great pet sitters and dog walkers out there doing a great job, or great groomers out there, or great back office admin support, scheduling, your business will not do well. The demand is there. There's no question. People are looking for professional pet care services. So I know it's not unique to Ashburn or unique to Woofies. So the business is out there. It's really finding that right franchisee that can build that team, manage that team, instill that culture, that Woofies culture, and that real love of customer service. This is a service-driven business. You're going into people's homes, caring for their pets. It honestly, aside from kids, it does not get any more personal than that. So we really need someone who understands all of that together. So basically, it's a unicorn, and that's who I love.
That's awesome. But if somebody's going, let's say they've got one location, essentially to get going, it doesn't sound like, is there an office component? I mean, does somebody have to take up space in real estate, or is it just, you can set up shop if you wanted to in a home office, but you got to get a van
Right.
for the grooming side, or what's the sort of requirements
Sure.
for an owner operator?
Sure. For an owner operator, you first will buy your first mobile grooming van. So you'll need a groomer, and get your van, start building up your team of pet sitters and dog walkers in your back office, because it is a 7-day a week, which is great opportunity. So you have that. We do put in the FDD. We believe there needs to be a little bit of flexibility. We do say in the FDD, in year one, you have the option to work out of your home if it works and it's a good situation as approved by us. But what we're finding is everybody wants to go right into an office, and we really encourage that. You don't need to have a big, massive office. You don't need to have expensive retail location. We're actually in a flex space. It's perfect for us.
I was going to say, you could probably do a co-op kind of a thing, and it'd be perfect.
It is. Like in our space, for example, in Ashburn, we have a quarter of it. The front is administrative. It's where we have our back office team members work, where we have our client keys and, grooming supplies and stuff like that. But the rest is a warehouse. So that's actually 5 of our 7 vans are parked inside, and the other 2 are parked outside. So that's one option. But then our franchisees, the first one is in Ruston, Herndon, and then the second one is in Leesburg. And they both have office spaces, but they have their vans parked outside. So there's a lot of flexibility. You don't have to have a huge, expensive rent payment. It's not necessary.
You're in Virginia, right?
We are.
You're located in. Okay. Are you guys franchising in any other states at this time outside of Virginia?
Right now, for year one, we're really focusing on Metro DC area, because we just want to stay close to home and close to our first franchisees, especially. The second year, our plan has us going basically in a 300-mile radius. So New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Maryland. And then we'll just kind of keep growing outside of that area. So.
No, I could see a huge opportunity in DC.
Yes.
I mean, with all the busy professionals, there's probably tons of need.
Oh,
there.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Very, very dog friendly area, which is great. This whole area in the DC area is fantastic.
Well, thanks so much, Amy, for coming on. This has been a great interview. I love learning more about the Wolfies
Oh,
franchise.
thank you for having me.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody wants to learn more, they can go to ownawolfies.com. And if there's any other information or contact information you want to leave for them, go ahead.
Great. Yeah, actually, everything's on the website. So, or also our Facebook page is facebook.com Woofies. So, find us on social media, and we'd love to hear from you.
Sounds great. Best of luck to you in the future.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Franchise Euphoria. If you enjoyed this episode or have enjoyed the podcast in general, I would really appreciate it if you could go to iTunes and leave me a rating and review. It really helps to get this podcast out to more and more people. So the easy way to do it is go to iTunes and in the search box, put in Franchise Euphoria. You will then see my cover art, and you click on my smiling face that says Franchise Euphoria, and then click on the link that says ratings and reviews. It's that simple, but boy, oh boy, does it mean the world to me when people leave ratings and reviews. And like I said, it really helps get the show out there. Once again, would love it if you would go to iTunes and leave a rating and review if you enjoyed this episode or other episodes of the show. And until the next time, happy franchising.